What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to 11.7 24/7, hosted by yours truly, Noah Bieniek. I'm Ryan Solo today talking about the 2026 SEC baseball regular season schedule that was just released on Tuesday. So, back in November of 2023, the SEC released a pair of permanent opponents for each team in the conference. From that official release, the SEC said, in quotes here, the permanent SEC baseball opponents were determined based on a number of factors, including geography, traditional opponents, and strength of schedule. End quote. For those that don't remember or need a reminder, here they are as follows. So Alabama will play both Auburn and Tennessee regularly, like pretty much every year you know, for however long these permanent opponents are going to last in SEC baseball. Arkansas has Ole Miss and Missouri. Sorry, Ole Miss and Missouri. Auburn has Alabama and Georgia. Florida has Georgia and South Carolina. Georgia has Florida and Auburn. Kentucky has South Carolina and Vanderbilt. LSU has Mississippi State and Texas A&M. Ole Miss has Mississippi State and Arkansas. Mississippi State has Ole Miss and LSU. Missouri has Oklahoma and Arkansas. Oklahoma has Missouri and Texas. South Carolina has Kentucky and Florida. Tennessee has Vanderbilt and Alabama. Texas has Texas A&M and Oklahoma. Texas A&M has Texas and LSU, and we wrap things up with Vanderbilt, who has Tennessee and Kentucky. I'm going to pull up the next graphic here for the rest of the show, and this is the 2026 schedule for each weekend here in the upcoming season. Um, that'll just be displayed on YouTube next to my face for this entire episode. Have fun reading it and looking at it. Because for the most part, in my opinion, on paper, those permanent opponents looked pretty fair. Although if I were to choose one, I would prefer Arkansas's permanent opponents of Ole Miss and Missouri. I know Ole Miss was a host last year. They were like the number 10 overall seed, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. But you just got to think that Bianco's on his final couple of years. Just the year prior, they weren't that great. Ole Miss is kind of like the weakest A tier opponent, like of the two teams, and then you get Missouri, who I think they're cellar dwellers for the time being in the SEC for baseball wise. And when you're guaranteed a series against those Tigers, you could basically roll a Yahtzee on your other eight opponents. And boy, oh boy, did the Hogs get two Yahtzees in those eight opponents. So yesterday on Twitter, my friend and fellow Point Park University alumni, Phil Elson, who is the Arkansas baseball play-by-play voice, he was the first one to point this out. The Razorbacks dodge all of LSU, Texas, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and Texas A&M. For reference, that's your 2025 national champion, your 2024 national champion, your 2025 SEC regular season champion, and 2025 NCAA tournament number one overall seed. That is a glorious run out for fans that care about winning titles, not necessarily like the best case scenario for fans that want to watch the best matchups week in and week out. But additionally, you want to host the good teams and visit the bottom half teams for two reasons. One, it's tougher to win games away from home. Everybody knows that. But two, you'd rather see the great matchups at your own ballpark rather than in your house on the TV. Also, everybody knows that. So when you look at Arkansas's road series here, they have Auburn, Alabama, Kentucky, South Carolina, and Missouri. That's about as favorable as it gets in the Southeastern Conference when you hit the road. Um, other kind of favorable, like favorable in quotation marks, because it's really tough to have an easy schedule there in the SEC. But your 2025 SEC regular season champion Texas Longhorns also miss quite a few of the contenders that I think will be at the top of the standings in 2026. The Longhorns don't play LSU, Arkansas, Georgia, Florida, or Kentucky. And speaking of Kentucky, the Wildcats also caught a nice schedule, in my opinion. They won't have to play Texas, Texas A&M, Georgia, Mississippi State, or Oklahoma in 2026. And furthermore, the Cats will welcome Arkansas, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt to Kentucky Proud Park. Baton Rouge is one very tough trip for Kentucky. That's their one kind of, road trip I would say I would mark as a definite L for UK, but I really like this layout for my bullishness on Kentucky in 2026. We've got a lot more time to talk about that throughout the offseason and preseason leading up into the 2026 college baseball season. Vanderbilt also dodges Auburn, Arkansas, Georgia, Florida, and Ole Miss of the remaining scary opponents for the Commodores: LSU, Texas, Tennessee. All three of them come to Hawkins Field. So I think that's a really nice slate for Coach Tim Corbin and the crew. And then rounding out basically my virtual five favorite schedules, not really in any order, kind of not really. I don't know. This is probably number five, though. It's LSU. The Tigers will not play Texas, Auburn, and Arkansas, but the defending champs will have some tough road series at Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Georgia, and Ole Miss. So there's a little bit of a give and take there. You dodge some really good title contenders, but also you're going to hit the road and play some really, really entertaining series. Speaking of entertaining series, I have 2 weekends where I want you guys to just be sack of potatoes. Just sit there on the couch with your remote, be fat ass if you'd like to, grab some chips and queso, throw it on the table in front of you for 12 hours because you're going to be watching college baseball from noon or 7 on Friday to 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on Sunday afternoon. Circle the weekend of March 27th because that is rivalry weekend in the SEC in 2026. Coach Brian O'Connor in Mississippi State, they head to Ole Miss. Tennessee plays at Vanderbilt. Alabama hosts Auburn. And we have the Red River Shootout between Oklahoma and Texas. Plus, sprinkled on top is Florida at Arkansas. And if you like a revenge angle, Texas A&M visits Missouri. Also, the weekend of April 10th is another 3-day set where everybody just be lazy couch potatoes and watch college baseball because Texas and Coach Jim Schlossnagle return to the scene of the crime to play 3 games against Texas A&M. Georgia will also host Florida at Foley Field, and then there's the Barstool Mincy series at LSU or at Swayze Field as LSU plays Ole Miss. So, uh, if you want to go find Mincy, he's going to be there. It's a 100% done deal. Duty Noble is also going to be rocking that weekend because Tennessee comes to Mississippi State. And then you have Arkansas at Alabama, Oklahoma at Vanderbilt, and then Kentucky at Auburn. Those three are very nice B tier series for this weekend that very well could have been like A tier series in another weekend that wasn't as loaded. So 2 weekends there, March 27th, April 10th. Sit at home all weekend long, watch college baseball in the Southeastern Conference. Whereas some of these other weekends, they might have that one S tier series. Wow, I can't talk today when I'm talking about tiers, but ST series, the only series, the ideal series where if you could travel anywhere in the country, specifically in the SEC for this specific episode, as we're talking about 2026 SEC schedules, these are the ones that you should circle because you don't necessarily have to worry about missing another appointment television series somewhere else in the conference. So April 3rd through the 5th, LSU is at Tennessee. Then April 24th through the 26th, if you want to be in one of the most rowdiest atmospheres in college baseball, period, go watch the defending champs LSU Tigers play at Mississippi State, where they're having this new regime, a lot of excitement in the Brian O'Connor era in Starkville. Stark Vegas is going to be bumping to welcome the Tigers there. May 1st through the 3rd, another LSU series as they host their former head coach in Paul Maneri and South Carolina. And then May 8th through the 10th, you have Texas at Tennessee, and then one final LSU series. Man, I might find myself watching the Tigers quite a bit next year as the final weekend of the regular season is Florida at LSU. Now, of course, in a 16-team conference with only 10 weekends of regular season games, you're not going to be able to see some really good matchups in the year 2026. So here are the weekends that will have some extra juice in the calendar year of 27. LSU against Arkansas, Arkansas against Tennessee, Tennessee versus Florida, and Texas versus Arkansas. As it is, when we talk about Arkansas and LSU kind of having some of the more favorable schedules, that means next year they're most likely going to be playing each other and playing some of the other really good teams. So, those are the series that I would expect to see in 2027. Now, we're going to have the entire offseason and preseason to talk about scheduling and what we're going to expect from all of these teams, not only in the SEC, but in every conference across college baseball, across the nation. That's going to wrap up today's episode of 11.7 24/7. If there's a topic that you guys, the listeners and viewers, would like to hear from us on, leave it in the YouTube comments below or hit us up on social media. We are at 11.7 on every platform, as well as myself, Noah B77 underscore. I will be here. We will be here throughout the off season on YouTube, providing fun college baseball banter. Do me a favor as I head out of here, though. Help us spread the word about 11.7 on YouTube. Tell your friends about us. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button. Your help will, one, keep our content free for consumption, but also, two, it would allow us to help ourselves keep that drive to continue providing quality and fun college baseball content throughout the off season. With that being said, adios, amigos.